Well, that's a very fair point. The only problem with Harry Redknapp is that he faces court charges based on tax fraud during his time at Portsmouth. I think it's either this week or next week it's decided. But we're not going to have someone like that as England manager if he's charged.
No, but take that with a pinch of salt, really. I think there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that we don't know about, and everyone's got an opinion on everything. But in terms of footballing ability, there's no one that comes close to Harry. I mean, you only got to look what he's done at Tottenham. He took over; they were near the bottom of the league, struggling within a season. Now that they're in the Champions League playing Real Madrid, and which any other English manager could have gone to Tottenham and done that? I don't think so.
Oh no, I totally agree with you on the actual managerial talent or credibility that he's got. Harry Redknapp is the prime number one choice for the England job, but if he actually does get charged with the corruption with tax, then who else do you turn to? I mean, I kind of think that Stuart Pearce could do it. You could do it always having an infrastructure in there that you could have the under-21 manager, say like Stuart Pearce, and then once the national team manager goes, then you make the under-21 manager. But of course, they've got to be English. You could do that with a lot of young managers that just go to Southgate that come in as the under-21s. I know people ridicule them and all sorts, but it's a way of getting English coaches into the game. I mean, we always turn to the foreign leagues to get our managers. I mean, you look at Andres Villas-Boas at Porto, had a miraculous season this season, and every single major European club wants him. If it's within England, we should look at English coaches.
Absolutely, and it's a good concept that you promoting the under-21 manager. Certainly a good concept, but that would be dependent on the qualities of that person in that job. As it happens, I think Stuart Pearce would make a good England manager. I think he's got the right mentality. I think he's got the right skills. He did very well when he was at Manchester City. And I think Stuart Pearce could make a good England manager, but then you look at the likes of Gareth Southgate. Could he do the under-21s? Probably. Could you see Gareth Southgate as an England manager? Probably not for me. I think he's a bit of a wet fish. I think you'll probably disagree as a Middlesbrough supporter. He did very well with Middlesbrough, to be fair to the man. But as we've already seen with Capello, the step up to international level is a very, very, very big step. And the likes of Fabio Capello has failed. Is Gareth Southgate really going to do any better? I mean, Steve McLaren, the Wally with the brolly, he got Colin, didn't he? Which is proof enough for me that the likes of those type of managers, although very, very successful with clubs, it's a whole other ball game when it gets to international football.
I agree. I mean, you can throw the names of Alan Shearer in there as well. I mean, I thought he proved when he was a Newcastle manager that he was capable enough to do it. I mean, if you could put him in the under-21s, then integrate it. What?
Didn't they get relegated while he was manager?
Yeah, but you've got to think he was in a situation where it was all as inevitable as it is. I mean, you said that about Gareth Southgate there. I don't think a lot of people understand the limitation he was under. We have to sell a lot of players. It was facts. I mean, yeah, we look at it at the time. I mean, we lost like Catamore, Boateng, Schwarzer, but from the wage bill perspective, it had to be done. As much as we didn't want to, I think where he fell down was sort of the kind of like tactics and match results, and that's all it comes down to at the end of the day.
And that's the thing that needs to be spot on if you're going to manage England, which, as you just said there, that's what he fell down on. So there is his problem.
Well, I agree with you on the player's perspective, but I mean, even if we do qualify for Euro 2012, which I'd like to think it was likely, even as first or second, as one of the best runners up. But you look, if we qualify for Euro 2012, we're going to be facing like Germany, Spain, maybe even Holland. They're more established teams. I mean, we're playing like that, like we did against Switzerland. I think we get battered.
We will get battered, and it all comes down to team selection and the issues which we've raised again, and picking the right players against the right teams. You play Spain, you've got Torres up front. He's got pace. He's going to turn you. You need a fast centre back. You don't need Rio Ferdinand, who's the ageing dinosaur of football. He's not going to be able to keep up with the likes of Torres. Or you're playing Germany. You've got closer up front. So he's a strong holding striker. You need someone who's going to have a bit of strength, who can give him a bit of a physical challenge, and that is the key issue that I was trying to make. You need to pick the right team, the right players to play whichever team you come up against, and it's not just the same England 11 every game.
No, I get that, but irrespective of that, do you reckon we could do well, given we're going to be facing teams of that calibre?
I think we could do well if we pick the right players, and that for me is the entire issue. That's what it boils down to. I mean, we're England. We're not England's top 11 players. We're a country, and there's a vast pool of talent in this country that can do well for our national team. And if we pick the right people to perform in that tournament, then there's absolutely no reason why we can't give anybody a good game.
I'd like to agree with you, but unfortunately I think if we do qualify, I don't think we do that well under Capello. But anyway, moving on. As it just settles on another Premier League season, we'll take a lot of memories away from it with the tightest season in history, with one of the best relegation scraps ever. Any favourite memories, Johnny?
Well, I mean, like as you say, it's been so tight, and I mean, as an Everton fan, I'm disappointed for us to be finishing below Liverpool yet again. And but it just goes to show you how close the league was this season. Up until sort of start of March, Everton were still in the bottom half of the table, looking over our shoulders. A run of we got 12 points out of 15, and all of a sudden we were in the top half of the table, sniffing around the European place. And it just goes to show you how close of a season it was in the end.
Do you think that was mainly because, though, that the lower teams have actually improved, or in fact it was just generally an all-round poor season?
Well, no, I think there's obviously been an awful lot of improvement from the teams at the lower half of the table, and when you get to that stage, like the likes of Man United and Chelsea, who were running away with the league, double figures clear at the top, it just goes to show you, once you get to that such a high level, there isn't a great deal further that you can go, and then with the teams below you who have been so far behind have been catching up and been closing that gap, and it was a brilliant season this year. I really thoroughly enjoyed it.
Well, I mean, as a fan of a team in the Championship, I mean, I can only look at the Premier League and think that it's been a lot better entertainment-wise, because I've always been one for the underdog and thought that I'd like to see the lower teams beat the bigger teams like Wolves beating Man United. I mean, I love that sort of thing, but it was crazy how the one result could send you about 5-6 places in the league. I mean, I looked at Aston Villa, and I didn't think they had the best of the season. I thought they were pretty poor for most of it. I mean, they were struggling before they signed Darren Bent, who pretty much kept him up in theory. But I mean, they finished 6th or 7th around that, and I didn't think they played well at all. It just goes to show how crazy that season was.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like you say, they were really, really struggling, and Darren Bent's goals have saved them from certainly squeaky bum time, as we like to call it.
Yeah.
They saved them from an awful lot of stress and worrying about will we, won't we go down. And like you say, one goal here or there can change everything, and as it proved on the last day of the season, even though Wolves still were beaten by Blackburn, a 3-2 defeat saved them rather than a 3-1 defeat wouldn't have saved them. So it was just absolutely fascinating, the twists and turns that it took on the last day.
The situation changed 14 times. I mean, that says it all.
That is a staggering statistic. That is unbelievable.
Any memories from the Everton season that you'd like to recollect?
Well, it's not been great. I mean, a really, really poor start, which we seem to get ourselves into the habit of doing ever since we finished fourth and qualified for the Champions League. We've never been able to capture that magic again. We've always struggled at the start and done well against. We always seem to do very well against the big teams. We've got a great record against Man City. We've done the double over them last season, 4 points off Liverpool. Great comeback against Manchester United. 2 goals in injury time to snatch a point. So we always seem to do well against the big clubs, and then we struggle and lose games that we should win, and then that's our big problem, really. I mean, to be fair to David Moyes, that our squad is so small through no fault of his own. It's no secret what Everton's finances are like. So to be able to perform the way we have performed on that kind of shoestring budget, I think he's an absolutely outstanding manager, and he will be for some time to come.
I agree. I think it's a commendable achievement for him to have done what he's done on a, as you say, shoestring budget. I mean, and not a lot of managers could do that. I mean, of course, he learned through it from Preston North End, so that might have helped in that regard. I mean, I would look at it from a Middlesbrough fan. I mean, where do you start? The season started with us being... We were favourites to win the league. I mean, under Gordon Strachan, we signed players like Chris Boyd, Barry Robson, Steve McManus. And you think they're such good players that could win us that league easily, but the whole system was wrong. I mean, yeah, we've had financial problems in the club for a while now, and Strachan never knew his best team, and he was there for about 6-7 months. It just became to a point where he had to go, and I'm just so glad that Tony Mowbray came in and installed a bit of passion and belief into the club, which he did when he was a captain of the football club in the 80s and 90s. And everything looks a lot better now. I mean, you look, so the fine example was the TV game against Cardiff, and we were outstanding. I mean, the first 20 minutes we blew them away, and that was a team going for the Premier League. And I think it bodes well for next season, but our only problem then is that we've got to cut our budget by about 12 million. So we're losing a lot of players, and even the players we're after now, we've got to wait until we've sold players to get players in, and it's a bit of a nightmare scenario as everyone's on holiday.
Well, it is a nightmare scenario, and that's the problem with football at the moment. Everybody seems to be struggling financially, and it's just, it's the way football's going. But you certainly would expect Middlesbrough to be at least challenging for a playoff place next season, if not for automatic promotion.
You can certainly hope so. We need to, as our power street payments have run out. I mean, that just shows how money talks, really.
Absolutely, yeah.